Uh, I'm just gonna say Visalia.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, we're looking at opening up a location in Visalia. So we just got that going. We're just at the beginning stages of it, so I'm hoping within the next few weeks or so we might actually be opening our doors. So we actually did the site planning that they call it and all of that. I had a over the internet kind of interview with the board and stuff, and so everything looked pretty well. So a few kinks we got to work out, but I think we'll be able to fix them. So.
Would you say you've definitely identified a need in the South Valley for this?
Definitely in Visalia. As far as I know, there's nobody out there accepting e-waste. And so we've gotten a lot of clients, a lot of business clients and residential clients calling from the Visalia area. And unfortunately, currently they drive all the way from Visalia to Clovis to recycle their e-waste. So there's a huge need in the Visalia area for e-waste collector.
Yeah, because Visalia to Clovis is a good hour 10.
Yeah, about an hour drive.
Maybe an hour, yeah, with no traffic. So I want to talk a little bit about, how important recycling is, especially the electronics
Sure.
and what you do.
Yeah, no, recycling, e-waste recycling specifically is very important. A lot of the material is hazardous. So like the old tube televisions could have up to 5 pounds of lead inside of them. And so that's why it all came about, the state saw that a lot of these TVs were ending up in the landfill, and then they just get tossed or dumped, and then the glass would break, and then the rainwater would come in, right, from the rains, and then it would just wash all of that lead into our groundwater. And so, that's just televisions, but there's like in certain LCD TVs and LCD monitors, there's mercury inside them. So a lot of bad stuff that definitely we don't want going back into the environment. And on the other side of that, there's a lot of metals that could be, scrap from them. So there's gold, there's silver, there's copper. And we definitely want to make sure that we're recovering those golds, copper, and even plastic and stuff that could be reutilized and turned into new products. So,
just everything that you literally just broke down in the last 45 seconds, I learned so much because I think all of us, many of us, don't realize the impact.
Yeah, definitely. And then we're a consumer society, right? So we're always buying new stuff for the latest iPhone and the latest laptop, and so all of that stuff is being produced. But yet, unfortunately, I just learned myself that Europe is actually kicking our butts when it comes to recycling e-waste. So they're up to about 45% of e-waste recycling, whereas the United States, we produced almost 7 billion tons of electronics last year, or million pounds, I think, 7 million pounds of electronics, and we only recycled 14% of it, I believe.
Dang.
So Europe is definitely doing a way better job at recycling those electronics than we are here in the U.S.
Well, and you don't even, because just 30 years ago, we didn't have all of these electronics. It is 12:44. Welcome to Central Valley Talk Live on this Wednesday, midweek already, the 9th of February. I'm Austin Reed, coming to you from our Tower District studios inside the Mike Briggs building. We thank you for joining us. We've got just a few guests lined up today, but to kick things off, we got to talk about some fascinating pictures that I actually discovered on Instagram. And joining us live in our Tower District studios today is Jamie.
Hi, how are you?
Dillmore,
Yes,
right?
Yes, correct.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You are an award-winning photographer here in the Central Valley.
Yes. So I specialize in senior portraits. I do other things because, it's a business and, bring it.
Yeah.
But I specialize in mostly senior portraits. I love the energy that the seniors bring, and entered a couple of competitions last year and got national awards. And one of them was an international award. So there was, I think, 20,000 images entered. And I won in a couple of categories. So it was pretty unbelievable. It was kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah, this is happening.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So how long have you been a professional photographer now, would you say?
This is going to age me a little bit, but a little over 20 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. So, but I really feel like I've been doing it forever. And the industry always is changing, so it always feels very new. And when I found seniors, it's like a whole new thing. I love them. Like, I don't know how. Okay, you aged me, so I'm going to age you. How long ago were you a senior?
Well, I just turned 34 last week.
Okay, so I mean, you remember what it was like that year. There was so much promise and hope and excitement, and when I'm shooting them, it like takes me right back. So I feel young again, and they just have so much energy, and you just feed off of it. And it really is just, I'm very passionate about it, and I love what I do, and I love being able to capture them exactly where they are at that moment, because it's so fleeting, and you don't know it's fleeting when you're there in that moment, but it's exciting. It's a fun age, and I love shooting them.
Okay, so we brought some pictures, or you brought some pictures along with you. So we're going to start taking a look at them. This is the first one. Can you see this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us.
So this is actually from a retreat I just went to. I'm going to start doing for some of the seniors like adventure sessions. So this is actually in Salt Lake City. So I will take a senior on an adventure somewhere, and so I actually took one of my I call them models. I have a model team every year, and so this was we took the models to a place called Ice Castles, and we rented dresses for them, and we had their hair and makeup done, and they get to feel kind of like a queen for a day, and it's a lot of fun, and the images just. I mean, they end up being just magical. And it's really a fun experience for them.
I love this one because it really captures the moment of everybody.
Yeah, it was fun. Like I said, I keep saying magical, but I mean, it really was. Like, and what's really fun about this too is I do it with a couple other photographers, and they all bring somebody in, and so the girls start to bond with these other girls that are out of their circle and out of their loop, and so all of us photographers were upstairs, and we heard all the girls just giggling downstairs, and it's neat to have that experience where you get to meet people that are outside of the community and see a little bit of a bigger part of the world, because when you're seniors, all you know is like right here in your little bubble. So
I know. Yeah, I know. That's super cool.
It's a fun experience for them.
This is a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
I love that sun too.
Oh, okay. The next picture coming. I'm sorry. I think I just skipped forward. But
that's okay.
This next picture. This is actually the model that I took from Fresno. And obviously, any little girl that sees this picture is going to immediately recognize her as looking like Elsa from Frozen.
Yeah, that's.
I saw the dress and I was like, oh my gosh, Ashlyn, you have to bring that dress. And we took this picture, and she's standing here, and this little girl, maybe 4 or 5 years old, comes running around the corner, and literally she froze and she couldn't breathe, and she was just and it was the cutest thing I think I have ever seen. It was like we just made a magic moment for a little bitty girl, and it was just so fun. It just little fun things like that are just
I love that.
I have to pinch myself that this is my job.
One of my daughters, they would just
total
freeze.
Frozen. But, well, no pun intended.
Right. That's right. Ba-dum, ba-dum. Very good. I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, but it was just awesome, and to see the little girl. And so eventually, she ended up having to take a picture with one of the girls while she was there because she was Elsa. She's real life Elsa.
Right.
So, and we were in an ice castle, so it was just it was
When
just
is
cool.
this going to happen again for her? So.
Yeah, it was great. It was fun.
Do we have any more pictures? I think we have a few more. Okay, let's start rolling through them because I want to get through all of them. This is cute.
Yeah, that so when you're in Salt Lake City, everything is beautiful, right? I mean, literally everywhere you look, it's gorgeous. You've got mountains, you've got snow, you've got the sand, the sand. What's it called? The sand. Not
the sand dunes.
Not
or?
the sand dunes. It's salt flats.
Oh, okay.
The salt flats are there. Literally everywhere you look, it's gorgeous. So when we're in Fresno, I had the challenge of here in Fresno finding the flowers and finding the spots. So really, that's I would say a lot of my work is finding the places. So, and I really want to showcase the kids, while we're here. So I'm always looking for new locations. So it's always fun to find places.
Yeah. No, is this in the Central Valley? That one we just saw?
That one is not. Okay. That's the salt flats.
That's the salt flats.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And then I also do studio work.
Okay.
I do beauty headshots and professional commercial headshots. That's the other side of my business. And then sometimes seniors want to go in studio too, and it's always fun. It's different. So the goal of being a senior photographer really is finding their personality and capturing them.
Because then they're more comfortable during
Right.
the shoot.
Yes, yeah, and that's really, I think, I always tell people, when you're looking for a senior photographer, you want to first make sure you like what you see on Instagram. Like if you like really light and airy, flowy images, I might not be the photographer for you, and that's fine. I may cry a little.
Yeah.
But it's fine. Like
Yeah.
there's enough to go around. You really want to first off find somebody that you really like their work, and then have a consultation with them and talk with them, because the photographer should make the senior feel comfortable, because that's really so important. If I can't make you comfortable like you're doing with me right now,
Thank you.
then it really isn't going to work. I need you to be comfortable in front of the camera, and I need you to be comfortable with me. Right. And I feel like that probably above my pictures is why people come to me. I really love making them comfortable and making them have a good time. Not making them. I don't force them. I'm not twisting arms. We really do just have a good time. Even the guys, they don't want to be there.
Right.
And they probably will never admit it, but they really do have fun. Like by the end of it, they're like, oh, okay, this
is kind of cool.
This wasn't bad. This is all right.
And now they're thinking, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll just start taking my own pictures.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun, and it's fun. It's neat. It's a neat experience. And I really I always the boys are always the most hesitant. So those are always the one I'm like, I'm gonna crack this exterior for you, and we're gonna have fun. Trust me, this is gonna be okay. So, and generally, like I said, they will never admit it, but I think they do have a lot of fun with them.
At the end of the day. Okay, what's next for you? We just started a new year. Are you looking for new clients right now?
Yes, right. Well, yes, I still do have some openings for spring.
Okay.
Not many,
Okay.
But I do still have some openings for my seniors for the spring pictures. And then I am actively searching for my 2023 model team. Okay. The model team is a group. I try to get 2 girls from each high school in the area, and then we do group shoots like we did at Salt Lake, or I'll probably do local stuff. And then they get to go, they get to do several shoots throughout the year with me. I do model calls from my model team. Like if I get some crazy hair, wild idea, I'm like, ooh, I got to try this.
Yeah.
I'll call one of my girls and say, hey, can you do this for me? So they get you have to take your senior pictures anyway, is what I always say. So why not make it like an extravaganza and really have fun with it? So I'm taking applications for that right now. And then, I just
hoping to win another award?
Yeah, maybe. I have to actually enter the images into the competitions to win the awards.
Right.
So
We'll see.
I maybe.
Well, no, there was something else. We're going to put this graphic up as well. You had sent me this on Instagram. Tell us what this is.
So this was I'm a big proponent of community over competition, and like I said, I feel that you have to have, and this is really with any photographer, not just your senior photography. Like any photographer that you're looking for, you really want to make sure that you're getting the right fit for you, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and the photography styles vary so much. So it's really important that when you're creating this relationship with your photographer, it's a good fit for you and that it really works for you. So that this is just like the things that you want to know. And when you're looking for your senior photographer, like what you want to do, one was, look at their work, checking their style, making sure you like it. Then the consultation, making sure you get along with them and that this photographer knows what they're doing, and understands what you're looking for, because all of those things will make things easier on the day of the shoot. Knowing that the photographer is going to have fun with you, making you feel comfortable on the day of the shoot, those type of things are important. Because really, if you're not having fun, then, especially with this one. So when I'm shooting on that day, my main goal is for those kids to have fun. Because I don't want them to look back on the wall, this beautiful picture that they get, and say,
Welcome back to NewsMakers with Mike Briggs. This show's been on since 2008, NewsMakers. Can you believe it? It was the very first show ever on Central Valley Talk, and we are still doing the show. You know, what we do on NewsMakers is we talk to people making the news. And this time of year, it's those people running for office, candidates for office, from governor down to city council, board of supervisors, a whole bunch of people running for Congress in districts that have just been changed around, lines have been redrawn, and it's a lot to figure out. Now, the last election we had about almost 2 years ago, a presidential election, there was a lot of talk about election fraud, and did people cheat, or did they take votes away, or was it fair? Well, in California, one person is in charge of making sure we have fair elections, and that is the Secretary of State. So we're going to have, and by the way, if you're a candidate for any office, we want you on this show. You could agree with us or disagree. We always give a good and kind interview to whoever comes on the show. So our first guest in the realm of Secretary of State is, I don't want to introduce her yet. I'm going to show you a little video, Rachel Hamm. And let's just go to this video. It explains a lot.
This is a fraud on the American public.
A woman accused of filling out her dead mother's ballot.
Police are now dealing with what they believe were instances of mail theft where ballots were swiped in the process.
A new investigation has found hundreds of thousands of questionable ballots sent to LA County voters.
Thousands of ballots stolen and cast fraudulently in the last election. But California's liberal politicians won't pass voter ID, even though an overwhelming amount of voters support it. California, it's time for something different.
They're afraid of the Rachel Hamms of the world.
I am backing her to run for secretary.
My name is Rachel Hamm. I'm a wife and a mother. That's always been my highest calling. I'm also an author, a life coach, and influencer.
Best-selling author Rachel Hamm. She's the host of The Rachel Hamm Show.
I have built my life and career on telling hard truths. That's why I'm running for Secretary of State. This is what I'll do as your Secretary of State. Require voter ID, bring back paper ballots, eliminate mail-in ballots while keeping traditional absentee ballots, bring back single-day voting, aggressive voter roll cleanup, unfettered watch reforms, and a 2020 election audit if those currently in power don't have the integrity to do one. Californians deserve to know that their elections were and are free and fair.
And there you have it. You know, a lot of candidates have ideas on how they're going to fix the world and how they're going to fix voting and how they're going to make elections fair. But that candidate ticked off the ways. We're going to do this and this and this. Let's go and meet this candidate, Rachel Hamm. Welcome, Rachel Hamm, to NewsMakers.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So elections, were they unfair?
I believe they absolutely were unfair, but not just in 2020. As I've looked into it extensively, I have found that it's maybe been several cycles that we've had unfair elections, and it's very concerning to me. We don't have a free republic if we don't have honest elections.
Right, we should have fair and honest elections. And by the way, I want to let you tell us about yourself, but I got so many questions, I'm going to jump into one.
Okay.
Why would anybody be against showing an ID at the poll? How could that be unfair?
Virtually no one is. So that's a very even issue. Everyone's for it. So Republicans and Democrats alike. In fact, a new poll just came out. I think it was 87%. I mean, it's gigantic. Right. It's like everyone agrees. It's like the one thing we can all agree on. We should show ID. It's not racist, no matter how many times they say it, right? So left and right, we all agree on that. So the real question is, why isn't it being done?
Right. Do you have an answer?
Yeah, because the people who are in office are benefiting from fraud.
From fraud, okay. If you have to show your ID when you go to the poll and really match, I mean, there could still be a few people who sneak through somehow, but that would clean up a lot of stuff.
It would, yeah.
I don't know if you watch this show. I watch it every day. It's called The View. And it makes me pull my hair out. I yell at my TV. But that Whoopi Goldberg said that, hey, why don't we just have people show their ID? And then I think they talked to her later about, oh, we're not supposed to say that because she doesn't seem to be for that anymore. Mm-hmm. So you're running for Secretary of State. Where are you from? What's your background?
So I grew up in the Central Valley, Madera, Fresno, Clovis, mostly Clovis. And I was a stay-at-home mom for most of my adult life. We have 4 sons, and 3 of them are adults now. 1 is in high school. And so I spent most of my life raising sons. And I just felt like that was, for me, the most important thing I could do to produce productive members of society, which I have successfully done. And then okay, this is a little weird, Mike. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. This is a little weird. I'm a prophetic dreamer, so I see things in my dreams before they happen, okay? So July 13th, 2019, I saw COVID in my dreams.
Oh, boy.
Very clearly. Very clearly. I mean, details. Like what I saw happen over the last 2 years was almost all in that dream. There's one element that I still haven't fully seen talked about yet, but all the rest of it was real clear. And the main point of it was that this illness was brought in to take away freedom. And so shortly after the first March lockdown, I began talking loudly and obnoxiously about, yes, this is an illness. I'm not denying it's an illness, right? But it's about taking away our freedom. Don't exchange freedom for safety. And so I started a YouTube show at that point to talk about my concerns, and it almost felt like I had this like pent up frustration that I needed to get out. So I started my show and began talking to all kinds of different people, and that led to me meeting political people who also basically felt the same, and knew what was actually happening. I'm talking about really high level people, and some of them contacted me. That led to a variety of what I would call divine appointments and inspirations, where you just feel like you're called to do something.
Right.
And I never would have thought I was going to do anything political, but I felt like at that point I was being called to step up and run for office to save my country, literally.
Now, whether you believe in, masks or don't believe in masks, you believe in lockdowns or you don't believe in lockdowns, everybody's got to admit we've never had our freedoms limited as much as we have during this one period.
Mm-hmm.
I would think. I mean,
Yeah.
actually closing down our business for over a year, it's just, it's incredible.
And closing churches and schools, and just violating rights left and right for the sake of safety. And I just wonder what our forefathers would say.
Yeah, yeah. Now you're running for Secretary of State, and you're on a mission here.
Yes.
And you have very well developed ideas.
Thank
and
you.
We have a lot of candidates in here. They don't really have ideas, but tell us how you would change our electoral system here in California.
Well, so there's a variety of things that I think are super important that would have to go through the legislature, but I would advocate for them. Like recently, I went to Sacramento for a meeting where the current Secretary of State, Shirley Weber, was advocating to the legislator to remove our ability as Californians to recall any elected official. I don't know if you know that she's doing that.
No, I did not know
She is trying to make it where we cannot recall anyone. So that's what she was doing. She was advocating for what she felt was right. Okay. Now I violently disagree with that. That we should be able to recall our elected officials, but I would advocate for, first and foremost, voter ID, like you mentioned at the beginning. It's just such common sense. It's something we all agree on, and I really want every single person in the legislature to answer. Why are you not implementing that? When it's the will of the people, we've spoken loudly and clearly, and everyone agrees. And so I would really push for that. I also would like the machines to be looked into. I have personally got to meet with 2 cybersecurity experts who hacked the voting machines and showed me how they did it and showed me how they can manipulate the votes.
They took the challenge and they did it.
Yeah. And so because of my personal firsthand knowledge of that, I would immediately want an audit to be done on the machines, and then I would decertify them if indeed we find that they are.
There should be no doubt that they should certify the machines each time. Now, let me ask you this. Is this the first election or the second where everybody gets a mailed ballot?
It's the second, because the recall election they also did.
What do you think about that?
I think it swings the door wide open for fraud. It's absolutely a nightmare.
I know people who said, "Oh yeah, I filled out my husband's ballot who passed away." I mean, they think they're being patriotic or something, but it's really fraud. It's a very serious thing.
It's a felony.
It's a felony.
Yeah,
That's right.
no, it's very dangerous.
Well, tell us about your campaign. By the way, I looked at your campaign website. It's very good. I looked at your Facebook. I looked at is it called Getter?
Getter?
What is that?
Getter? Yeah.
Getter.
Getter. It's kind of, like well, I don't know. I think when Twitter went so crazy with shutting people down, they started Getter to try to provide a place where people could just have novel concept, free speech.
Yeah. Now, anybody that wants to know anything about Rachel Hamm can go to these sites. Just type Rachel Hamm in Google and all those sites pop up, I think. Mm-hmm. By the way, you wrote a book. Tell us about that.
I did. I wrote a book called Life Beginning, about my own life, because I've been through some pretty bizarre and unusual things that at first I started writing for therapeutic reasons. And then I started realizing there was more to it. There was, again, that divine providence thing happening where it could help a lot of people. And so I decided to take what I was writing for personal reasons and turn it into a published book, which became a best-selling book, actually. And so it's helped a lot of people. One of my greatest joys in life is hearing from people who've read my book and have been influenced by it.
Now, your campaign, you're going to have to campaign in L.A. and San Francisco, all over the state. What are your plans?
I've already been doing that, yeah. So I actually started really early, and I've been already all over the state. And what I'm finding is that California is not as big and blue as they say that it is. Right. In fact, there's been a big shift. Even people who were really big and blue and liberal, are shifting. We do still kind of have that the intense, strong left people that are going to maybe always be that way. I don't know. But there has been a big shift in people who consider themselves to be moderate left-leaning. Mm-hmm. And now after the COVID stuff and their lives were really devastated by it, they're now saying they're moderate right-leaning. And so there's a big shift in the state, even in the liberal places.
Right. And the things you're saying aren't really that partisan. You're saying some very common sense ideas that should appeal to anybody.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, everyone should want honest elections.
Yeah. Yeah, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
And as you said, the majority of the people are in favor of showing an ID at the ballot.
Yeah, so legislature, why are you not doing that?
Right. So you would provide that leadership. Now, Secretary of State also makes corporations or regulates corporations. What else do they do?
They oversee the historic stuff, the archives.
Archives, that's right.
Yeah, and then they also do notary stuff. Those are the main four things.
It's a big job. It's a big job. And you would not be the first Secretary of State from the Central Valley, right?
Yes.
Bill Jones.
Yes.
He was a Secretary of State, and he served our area well, and he did it for 8 years. He's really was the first real modern Secretary of State, brought us into a lot of modern areas.
And yet, in California, you would think everything would be so modern, right? The Secretary of State is kind of still in the dinosaur ages with several things. We have to file paper filings instead of digital, and there's definitely some things that will need to be brought up to speed, which I fully intend to do.
I was very shocked. I recently filed to run for an office, and that I couldn't do it online, that I had to print it out, fill out things by hand, or wet signature, they call it, and mail it, and wait for them to mail back a 6 or 8 digit number. And it did seem very archaic. So.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that. There's actually some things you have to print out large amount of documents. My treasurer was saying, I'm taking in several boxes of documents today to the Secretary of State's office. And I thought, what a waste of paper and ink. And I mean, come on.
This is 2022 for goodness sakes. Well, listen, if anybody wants to reach you and say, get involved or send a little money or something like that, because it's expensive to run.
It's so expensive. So I'm running for a statewide office, right? So I'm having to campaign the entire state, and no one pays attention to Secretary of State. Everyone's looking at who's the governor, who's the senator.
And it's just like running for governor. It's that many people. You're talking to the same
amount of people.
So if somebody wants to help or get involved, where should they start?
Yeah, so you can go to RachelHammSOS.com, which Rachel is the right way to spell it, Rachel, and then Hamm is HAMM, and then SOS, which is for Secretary of State.com. So RachelHammSOS.com. You can sign up to volunteer or donate $5, $10. Anything is helpful, as you know, having done several campaigns already. Every little bit helps.
Yeah, it really does. Now, we don't know who our Secretary of State is. No, I guess we do. You said her name.
Shirley Weber.
PhD, by the way.
Yeah, she's a nightmare, actually. She was an assemblywoman before, and she's responsible for some of the most liberal legislation we have right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's probably be a whole bunch of people running because that's how it works now. But Rachel Hamm is from here, from the Valley, and we don't get a lot of Valley people as our statewide representatives. We haven't for a little while, and it's high time we do that. Rachel's a great person. Last thing, anything else you want to add before we're out of time?
Well, I had 2 Republican competitors, and they both have dropped out.
You scared them out, didn't you?
I am the only Republican running for Secretary of State for the state of California.
And this is one of those open primaries anyway, right? So the top 2 vote getters will go to. What if one person gets 80% of the vote? It'll still be the top 2 vote getters?
Still top 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
So I have a good chance of making it through the primary with being only Republican.
If you're watching, you didn't get the information, RachelHammSOS.com, you forgot the name, like I always forget names, call me here at Central Valley Talk. I'll put you right in touch with Rachel Hamm campaign. Thank you for coming. You're the first Secretary of State candidate ever to be on our show.
How exciting. Thank you.
We'll be back with more Newsmakers right after this. Welcome back to Newsmakers with Mike Briggs. This show's been on since 2008. Newsmakers, can you believe it? It was the very first
thing. But when you get to see them in print, something kind of magical happens with them. It just brings them to life and adds a depth to them that you don't really get in the digital images. It's really nice to see them. I always tell people, like, I want you to take something tangible away, you know, because so many times people will get their little USB and then they'll plan on printing it and they'll put it in the kitchen drawer, never to be seen again. So I always try to get people to get something that's tangible that they walk away with so that it helps them remember the day.
Yeah, very good, very good. Okay, people can, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Instagram.
Instagram?
Yeah, at Dillmore Portraits.
Okay,
so,
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in.
You're welcome.
This was
Thank
fun.
you. This
Appreciate
was fun.
it.
Thank you.
Come back anytime, okay?
All right. I appreciate
and
it. Thank
especially if you get another award. You know, I'm tracking you on Instagram, so
Okay.
I'll see it.
Okay,
So.
all right.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you
Appreciate
very much.
it.
I appreciate it.
I'm Austin Reed. You're watching Central Valley Talk. We'll be back soon.